You know, there's a lot of talk about taxes in this country, whether it's coming from Uncle Sam or the state we live in. And the conversation is really only amplified when we're in an election year. It's certainly the case with our current candidates. Peak Retirement Planning founder and CEO Joe Schmitz joining me now to talk taxes and really talk the future of taxes, which we know inevitably will change, Joe. So good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Robyn.
All right, both candidates, and we were talking about the debate. It is clear that they see taxes very differently, as they see most things. So when we talk about that they basically agree on nothing, what can we expect to happen with the upcoming election? Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be polar opposites, like you said. And, you know, when you look at the Democratic Party in general, typically they want to raise taxes. Typically Republicans want to lower taxes. And so when you look at the two parties we currently have, for example, when it comes to corporate taxes, Kamala wants to raise it to 35%. It's currently at 21%. Trump's been talking about lowering it to 15%. That is an extreme difference both ways. And so those are some of the expectations that we can see. Obviously, the Trump's tax cuts that he put in place in 2017 expires in 2026. So there's a lot to be said that if he gets elected, that there's going to be a push to keep those tax cuts in place for a longer period. They'd have to agree on that. So I don't even think that Trump getting in office will be able to do that, because you have to really own the office to get things done, right? I mean, if it's all Republicans, maybe, but if we have Republicans, Democrats, then who knows if it's actually going to get approved. But it is pretty clear that the Democratic Party is going to go away with the tax cuts, is what we would expect, and ultimately raise everyone's taxes, which when we run the numbers, you know, most people will have to pay about 20% more in taxes at that point. Once these tax cuts expire.
I was going to ask, so in 2 years, that could be what we're looking at as the real potential for our tax rates.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big change. There's a lot of other smaller changes too that don't maybe impact everyone, but could impact everyone to some degree. For example, the corporate taxes. If you don't have a business, you may think that doesn't apply to me. Well, I can tell you that the way the business is taxed is going to depend on what the market's going to do in some way, right? I mean, we're giving more money to the government versus leaving it in the hands to the companies to either give to team members or to, you know, pour into lowering their prices or whatever it may be. So that's one consideration there. But also when it comes to things like the estate tax. So the estate tax is something that many people don't talk about right now because it's such a high limit. I mean, it's almost $14 million or 14 million per individual if you're married. So unless you have $28 million, you're not really worried about that.
Yeah.
But that's going to get cut in half. You know, if you go back to looking at what Biden proposed a few years back, he wanted to lower that all the way to $3.5 million. So we could start to see more people impacted by that as time goes, because in the past it's been as low as $1 million, and it was even $600,000, I believe, in 1997. And so those are all tax changes that are going to impact many people over time, and we just don't know.
And I feel like you're talking about this because there are going to be inevitably changes, right? And so how do we plan, especially when you're in the 5 years before retirement, right? And you're thinking, like, this could be a giant impact on what
I mean, we're seeing this 5 years before retirement, 5 years after retirement. I mean, it's time to start taking out money from your accounts very soon, if not already.
Right.
And most people have their money in tax-deferred investments. And when you take out money from those, you got to pay taxes on it. So what we're doing with a lot of our clients right now is things like a Roth conversion, where maybe it makes sense to pay our taxes now at what we expect to be the lowest rates we'll see in our lifetime, or we can wait until 2026 and beyond and pay potentially higher. So it all depends on that person's situation. For some people, they may end up being in a lower tax situation in the future. And so it's just all about having a balance of maybe tax-deferred, tax-free investments to make sure it all can work together and work for them to pay less taxes over time.
And when you came up today, Joe, to talk to me, I said, hey, we're going to talk about your absolute favorite topic. Because if you couldn't tell over the many months, you know, that we've been chatting, is that you hate to pay more than your fair share of taxes, right?
That's put it as plainly as possible. and as I always preface with people is, you know, we wrote the book, I Hate Taxes. You know, it's pretty extreme. I'll pay my fair share, right? I mean, there's some great things that we have in this community that our tax-paying dollars go to. I drove on the roads to get here.
Yeah.
But do we really want to pay more? And whenever we ask people, they always say, I feel like I'm overpaying in taxes. And so at our office, we have the tax code, which is about, you know, that big. And there's more words in there than the Bible. And there's a lot in there. And so the idea, though, is you just have to open it up and you have to read it. And if you do that, you can pay your fair share and save more money so you can do what you want in retirement. Travel more, you know, go out to eat more, whatever it may be, give you more comfort is ultimately everyone's goal.
All right, well, you can get that book. You can call or text TAX to the number on your screen. And it's really just an educational resource. And then if you need some help planning, of course, call Joe and his team, Peak Retirement Planning. All right. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Robyn.